Casey Macgill Cocktail Hour. All right. From the fabled Ridgewood Room high atop the hills of Tacoma, it's the Casey Macgill Cocktail Hour, a collection of music, news, and personality. This particular show we're going to call Autumn Leaves because we're feeling very autumnal right now. So everybody get yourself a nice cup of tea or some hot cider and curl up with us for some great music, fabulous guests, and our quiz classic, Tacoma Squares. Okay, let's meet our guests. Helping steer the ship from Capitol Hill at the Lowdown Ballroom, it's our good pal, Madeline Yan. Hi, Maddie.
Hello.
All right. And looking on from her cultural outpost in halfway Oregon, it's Vicki Johnson. Hi, Vicki.
Hi, Vicki.
Are you there, Vicki?
All right.
Is she there?
Oh,
there we go.
There you are. Hi, Vicki.
Hi.
All right. And in West Seattle, here's our pal on the piano, Mr. Larry Knapp. Hi, Larry.
Hey.
Welcome to the show. It's good to see you again. And we have a very special video that you'll be sharing with us a little bit later on. And today we are also delighted to have the great dancers, Balboa dancers, Yoshi and Etsuko from their lovely in Seattle. Hi, guys.
How's it going?
Good. Thank you for joining us today. We're looking forward to seeing you demonstrate your talented steps a little bit later on. And they're experts at the Balboa, and we're going to find out just what all the fuss is about with them. And then from the wilds of British Columbia, a big greeting to multi-talented Jen Hodge. Hi, Jen.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
You once again, and I can't wait to share your film of your original Halloween song also. Yeah.
Looking forward.
And finally, all the way from Pasadena, California, a place that I spent a lot of time earlier in my life. And he's our special musical guest and doubling as our celebrity bartender. It's Mr. Jonathan Stout. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, everybody. And since I don't want to get the ball rolling too early, I've got my Sriracha Hoi Fong Foods mug filled with some oolong tea just to give myself a little pep so that when we get to the next portion, I'll be able to...
Fantastic. That sounds fantastic. Well, aside from the quality time you've been spending with your son, we noticed that you have made 2 EPs, and I'd like you to tell us about those. Could you tell us a little bit?
Well, I managed to make... That's a full album, that one there.
Oh, okay.
I made about 2 years ago, and that's 15 songs of all 1930s style solo chord melody guitar in the styles of people like Alan Roos, Dick McDonough, Carl Kress, Tony Mottola, Carmen Mastrin, etc. And then when quarantine started here in Los Angeles, I managed to record 5 brand new songs, or at least 5 brand new arrangements here at home, in my lovely home, and so that's the second thing that's up.
Okay. Do we have a picture of the EP?
Well, I have good news for you. It's the exact same thing except red.
Okay.
But it does say at the top above the headstock, recorded under quarantine, as though I don't want to be judged with the same normal levels of standards as it would be if I were recording normally.
I have a feeling you might be doing a little branding there.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Well, I had a question, and that's, did you do the graphics on those?
No, but what I will claim credit for is looking at Instagram and seeing somebody whose art really got it, although I hadn't seen any examples of quite exactly that style of 1930s stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a guy named Chris Wilkinson out of Sacramento, and he's a great guitar player, plays a lot of Western swing stuff up there. And
Okay.
his graphic design, kind of in the roots rockabilly world, was just really standout extraordinary in the way
Yeah.
that he is able to get a kind of 1930s paper effect or
Right.
40s
I love
or
that
50s.
cover.
And yeah, he was inspired by like old guitar folios of like Eddie Lang and stuff like that. So that's
Uh-huh.
sort of where he did that. He's done some work for our mutual friend Nick Rossi, just a really
Oh, yeah.
iconic looking poster for him.
Oh, that's right. Well, I remember enjoying that illustration of Nick also.
Yeah, and he did. I know Stuckey and I and a couple other people suggested him to Matt Munisteri. So Matt Munisteri's last thing had Chris
Oh,
Wilkinson
wow.
art on it. Yeah.
It sounds like a somewhat exclusive organization you guys have started there.
Well, you just have to pay him and have him be available. I
Yeah.
suppose he might turn down something, but we haven't found that out yet.
Well, hey, I'm curious if you would like to play us one of the tunes off of one of these recordings. We'd love to hear something.
I would be happy to, and I will just let you know that if you hear any bumps or booms or random screaming of a toddler, there's a 4-year-old upstairs. And
Okay.
I don't know if you remember what it's like to be 4, but it's hard sometimes. Because
Actually,
you don't
I
get
do
what
have
you
some
want
memories
all the
of my
time.
4th year.
I bizarrely have some too, but I don't remember necessarily everything being so hard all the time. So if you hear any
I
banging,
remember my bottom smarting from being spanked.
well, we don't do that anymore, so now we just have the yelling.
Also, I have some memories of my 4th birthday party. That was quite exciting.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to play any songs from that 4th birthday, but
Yeah,
all right, close
that's
enough.
okay.
Well, so yeah, I figured we'll play something off one of the off the new EP, and this was sort of the first thing that I wrote when quarantine happened.
Oh, great.
I don't fancy myself a songwriter. I really feel like the greats have made their music. The kind of throwaway tunes that somebody like Coleman Hawkins or Lester Young or Illinois Jack Kett would record are still better than the stuff I'm going to come up on my best day. Yeah, I just kind of had some ideas and started threading them together, and this stuff came out. So this is called All Cooped Up, which is the title of that EP. So here it goes.
Excellent.
That's all cooped up.
Woohoo!
That was nice.
Wow.
All cooped up by Jonathan Stout, everybody. Wasn't that fantastic?
Woo!
By the way, we want to remind, this is a good time to remind everyone out there in virtual land that Jonathan has a Venmo and I believe PayPal that you can access to send a donation his way. And we would be delighted if you would do that. And also, we have that here for the show as well. So
Before, can we?
don't
Is
be
there any way,
shy.
Casey? Is
You
there any
know,
way we could go back to that picture?
Yes.
there it is.
I just wanted to point out. I never realized I was doing the Washington crossing the Delaware pose there.
Yeah.
You sure are.
I've had that picture. My best friend Chris Bursbach, who's a fantastic photographer in San Luis Obispo,
You know,
took
if
that.
Washington were holding a guitar, we might have had a whole nother kind of detente.
Oh man.
Reminds me of that song, Crazy Words, Crazy Tune in Washington Valley Forge. Freezing cold, but up stepped George. Oh, Vodio do.
Bodiodo indeed.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the British were not familiar with that phrase. But well, that sounded fantastic, Jonathan. I'd like to get you to do some more tunes for us in just a few minutes. And I would like to follow you up with an original tune of mine. This one was written about 20 years ago during a flurry of songwriting activity around the time I was in New York for the Swing musical. And this one is kind of a follow up to some of the other things I was doing at the time. And hopefully, at some point, might be the leadoff tune for a kind of a jukebox musical itself called Spirits of Rhythm. And this one is called Spirits of Rhythm. And it talks about all of our heroes that went before us and how those vibrations are still there to be felt and enjoyed. It goes like this. Two, I want two, three. Strutting down the avenue, solid cinders in the groove. Something's in the air, you hear it everywhere. Spirits of rhythm, saxophones riff the line. Big bass drum beats perfect time. Coming through the floor, vibrations from before. Spirits of rhythm. You take a chorus and you take a solo, swing it all night long. You hide it and then you hide it, then you kick it gone. Never very far away. Anytime we start to play, have to help us out. You're gonna jump and shout. Spirits of rhythm. You take the chorus and you take a solo, swinging all night long. You hide it, then you hide it, then you keep me gone. Never very far away. Anytime you start to play, have to help us out. We're gonna jump and shout. Spirits of rhythm, spirits of rhythm, spirits of rhythm. That was great. Thank you very much. Spirits of Rhythm. And at this point, I would like to introduce everybody once more to our fabulous friend from the fringes of civilization up in northern Canada, the great Jen Hodge. Jen?
Thank you.
Hey, look at you got the t-shirts.
I know. Check it out.
Wow. Jen is sporting a Planet Lounge Orchestra t-shirt that I just recently sent to her. She was a fabulous prize that she won in our quiz show. And I have a number of band T-shirts from the late 80s and 90s from my exile in Spokane, and that's one of them right there. And actually, you know what? Those are not used shirts. Those are new old stock. So you don't have to worry about anybody else's DNA on those, with one possible exception. And I, while we're on the subject of those shirts, let me show you a couple other ones we got here. Here's one, the DeSoto. That was a blues band that I was in for a few years. And this one is a later one for a band called the Spirits of Rhythm.
Very cool.
And I've got one more here. This one is a particular favorite. It's a little bit esoteric, and of course, you can imagine the band was a total flop in Spokane. It's called the Zen Cowboys.
Yeah, I love that one.
That's amazing. With a cowboy hat.
Oh, that's great.
But you know, that's been my problem. I'm too eclectic. I'm too much of an integrationist, and obviously, looking at the climate in our land without saying too much more about it, this is a land where integration is a concept that is yet to occur to everybody. So anyway, but back to Jen. We were absolutely delighted to see your Halloween video, and you know, it's not that far away from Halloween. It was just a few days ago, so I think we're okay in celebrating with a Halloween tune. And this is an original of yours. It's like original song time, isn't it?
Actually, it's not. Unfortunately, I can't claim to have written the tune. It was written by a
go ahead.
songwriter Smith in 1950. But I did write the arrangement, for what that's worth.
I accept. And I love the vocal harmony. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Are we ready to play that?
Yes, we are.
Great.
All right, here it comes.
Cool. And what's this called?
This is called
Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat for Halloween. You better give a treat that's good to eat if you want to keep life serene. Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat for Halloween. When pumpkin shells cast evil spells, your little white house turns green. Your little white house turns green. Every post is a ghost if you got a witch's brew. And if you want your gate to circulate, we can do that too. Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat the whole night through. Little scalawags with fiendish gags will make it up on you. When ghosts and goblins by the score ring your bell and pound your door, you better not be stingy or your nightmares will come true.
That's great.
So good.
Thanks. Lots of fun.
Oh, that was wonderful.
That's
Cheers.
fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, the song is from a Donald Duck cartoon from 1952. That's one of my all-time. I love old cartoons, and that one every year when October rolls around, I just jones to watch it. So, so why not write a 3-part harmony arrangement of it that I played by myself?
I heartily concur.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
fantastic, man. Wow, thank you so much. What have you got going on these days? Do you have anything interesting coming up? Are you?
Ooh, I mean, I'm pretty musically lonely here in rural Vancouver Island. I do get to it's. I'm calling it my birthday tour that I have coming up. It's wasn't planned as such, but it's just kind of worked out that that I get to go to both Victoria and Vancouver coming up. I'm playing an afternoon show with a vocalist called Angela Verbruge at Herman's Jazz Club on Sunday in Victoria, which will be streaming because the capacity is less than halved, I think. Um, and then I'm gonna go over to the mainland for about a week, and I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play an outdoor gig for a retirement home community, so obviously we're gonna dress warm for that. The residents are gonna be inside, and we're gonna be outside. Anyway, and then I'm gonna play a live streaming gig on my birthday to Lithuania with Stephen Coombe from the Shirt Tail Stompers. Yeah, he's in Vancouver. His wife's from there, and it's a better place to be than England is right now. So I'm excited to play with Steve. And then I'm leading a trio at the Water Street Cafe in Vancouver, and then I'm going to come home and do my monthly 78 broadcast, and that's my birthday tour.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, what day is your birthday actually?
It's November 13th. It's Friday the 13th, because what week would it be on in the year 2020?
And what's your birth year and your social security number and your mother's maiden name is the name of your first pet.
Oh yeah. Hey, I think this would be an excellent time to plug your album.
Right. And tomorrow is Bandcamp Friday as well. That's my new album. I put that out on October 2nd. Yeah, it's called The Girl in the Groove, as you can see. I recorded it last year, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's got a great band and a mixture of standard with atypical arrangements and a couple original tunes and some seldom heard great old gems as well.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed that one video that we saw of that song off of your album, and I can't wait to get my copy of that. It's gonna be
yeah, I can hook that up as soon as we're done the show.
Fantastic. Well, I would like to get back to our other musical guest, I should say, right now, Jonathan. And
yes, sir.
Jonathan, I know you've got another tune or two up your sleeve, and I'd like to take advantage of your presence here with us and get you to play some more for us right now.
That would be my sincere pleasure. I think one of the things that we should do is Jen just played a song called Trick or Treat. Like I said, I don't fashion myself a songwriter, but sometimes I come up with something and I'm like, I just got to chase it and follow it down. And I came up with this little thing that I started noodling on guitar. And it's really hard to title instrumental tunes. And it was mid-October and it just sounded spooky, and I decided it's called Trick or Treat. And so I don't think anyone will confuse the two songs. But we're actually going to be recording a Campus 5 album in 2 days, live in person, everybody together. We all got tested, and assuming no one's test results come back unexpectedly, because everybody's healthy. But we're going to be doing COVID protocols with masks and distancing and whatnot. We're recording in a really big room, Studio One at Western Recorders.
Wow.
On Sunset.
I imagine it's easier to get in there right now.
It is. What's funny is, like, for the big rock projects, because they're just doing like overdubbing stuff, like they only need one person in a room at a time, and it's not so bad. But like trying to track a lot of people is still very difficult. But so I wrote an arrangement that I won't hear until we show up at the studio of it for the band. But it started as this kind of solo guitar piece. So I'll play it for you now.
Great.
Here is Trick or Treat.
Okay.
And I'm going to improvise an intro, and because I still haven't got a perfect intro yet. And sometimes it actually ends up in the right key, and then sometimes it just kind of goes, uh-oh. So we'll see what happens. But here's Trick or Treat.
fantastic. I love that.
Oh, my pleasure.
It made me want to see if I could get a Tootsie Roll or some.
Well, we didn't have any trick or treaters here, obviously.
Yeah.
But my wife was like, I'm still going to buy some candy and maybe we'll make some bags to give out to some of the neighborhood kids in a kind of distanced fashion. And
Yeah.
of course, it ended up with us having so much chocolate candy that I can't even think. So
I hope
I'll
you
send
got
you
something you liked.
thankfully, yes. But you said you lost 20 pounds, I heard you say.
Yeah.
And I found them for you.
I wondered what the hell happened to him. I couldn't believe it myself.
I didn't know you could send them to me, but thanks.
You know, it's a kind of a cosmic thing. And it's odd because Jessica and I have been on a kind of a ice cream and donuts diet.
Why are,
And,
is there something
I'm
stressful
not
happening?
What?
Is there something stressful happening?
Um,
What, pray tell, could it be?
Gee whiz, where shall we start? I've got a list. But yeah, it's been cuckoo, you know.
Yeah.
And our diet has just been nuts, and I never dreamt that I would be able to get into a lot of these clothes that I wore 20 years ago. But it's a celebration. I thought I'd get out this old suit.
Yeah.
You know, I got this from this guy named Michael Savoya in New York, who was part of the swing scare of the late 90s. And he was a tailor, a little kind of a super intense guy, and had a shop in the East Village. And I got him a gig making some of the clothes for the swing show, so he was happy about that, and he made me a suit. And unfortunately, Michael is no longer with us, but it was really kind of fun getting to know him, and he was a super detailed tailor, and it was fun to hang out in his shop back there in those days. There were some great clothing stores in New York back in the late 90s. All of that's long gone. But anyway, I'd like to, have you got a song that you can sing for us, Jonathan?
Oh, I do, but you brought up Manhattan, and I thought maybe we do a little Rodgers and Hart, but maybe we can. Why don't we do some Irving Berlin first?
Okay.
And then we'll come back to Rodgers and Hart.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's a little bit of Cheek to Cheek.
All right.
So that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find the happiness I see when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that hung around me through the week seem to vanish like the gambler's lucky streak when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I'd love to climb a mountain and to reach the highest peak, but it doesn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. And I'd love to go out fishing in a river or a creek, but it doesn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Dance with me, beats so that I can hardly speak. And I seem to find the happiness I seek when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Dance with me, I want my arms about you. That charm about you will carry me through to heaven. I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak. And I seem to find the happiness I seek when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. When we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. When we're out together dancing cheek to cheek.
Woo! So nice. Thank you.
That is an incredibly intimidating thing to be asked to sing while one of your favorite singers on planet Earth is watching, because Casey is, as far as male swing vocalists go, there are only three that I just really think are among the very best, and Jim Ziegler that sings with my band, my friend Craig Gildner, and then the absolutely great Casey Macgill. So. I'm sorry my caterwauling got in the way of more Casey
I really
singing.
enjoyed your vocals on that. It's a lovely tune, isn't it? It kind of plays itself.
Irving Berlin, he could do a thing with a tune every once in a while.
Indeed. I would love, there's a great Irving Berlin song I didn't think of. It's I've Got My Love to Keep Me Warm. But
save that for winter.
Yeah, we can do that for the winter show. And right now, I've actually got a collection of fall tunes I'd like to play for you. And we're going to start off with one from the early 40s that was covered on an episode of the great TV show Sanford and Son.
Cool.
And, Red Fox and this guy, Timmy Rogers, sang it together on the show. And the cool thing about that show is if you go back and look at it, you can find all kinds of interesting people like Norma Miller and this guy Timmy Rogers and Scatman Crothers. He brought all kinds of great people onto the show from his era, which was the 30s and 40s. And they did a lovely job of this tune. It's called "'Tis Autumn." Also, Nat Cole and the Trio made a nice record of this too. Anyway, here we go. Old Father Time checked, so there'd be no doubt. Called on the north wind to come on out. Then cupped his hands so proudly to shout, La-di-da, ti-da-di-da, it's autumn. The trees say they're tired, they borne too much fruit. Charmed all the wayside, there's no dispute. Now shedding leaves, they don't give a hoot. La-di-da, ti-da-di-da, 'tis autumn. Then the birds got together to chirp about the weather. La da 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 da. After making their decision, in birdie-like precision, turned about and made a beeline for the south. My holding you close really is no crime, as the birds and the trees and old Father Time. It's just to help the mercury climb. La-di-da, ti-da-di-da, 'tis autumn. The trees say they're tired. They've borne too much fruit. You know, they charmed all the wayside. Yeah, there's no dispute. Now shedding leaves, they don't give a hoot. La-di-da, ti-da-di-da, 'tis autumn. Then the birds got together to chirp about the weather. La 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 la. After making their decision in birdie-like precision, turned about and made a beeline for the south. By holding you close really is no crime. Ask the birds and the trees and old Father Time. It's just to help the mercury climb. La-di-da, ti-da-di-da, 'tis autumn. La-di-da, ti-da-di-da, 'tis autumn.
Woohoo! Wonderful.
Oh, that's nice.
Beautiful.
That's great.
And
Love that recitative.
Say what?
Love that recitative.
Recitative, you know, modeled humbly after the great Ink Spots recordings.
Oh,
I love those little spoken things. It switches it up a little bit. So this next one is a song I've played with a number of people. I used to accompany another singer who did it, and so I actually do these songs all that much, but I wanted to try to take the challenge to see if I could get through it live on the radio. And it's another great classic, and goes like this. The falling leaves drift by my window, the autumn leaves of red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, the sunburned hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear old winter's song. But I miss you most of all, my darling. When autumn leaves start to fall, the falling leaves drift by my window, the autumn leaves of red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, the sunburned hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear old winter's song. But I miss you most of all, my darling. When autumn leaves start to fall, when autumn leaves start to fall, when autumn leaves start to fall.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Those crazy autumn leaves. I I'm very excited about this next song, and I've played it a number of times over the years, but it's always been a feature in Mood Indigo for our great bass player, Mr. David Jackson. And in fact, it's still a feature for David. You can see him doing this song. There's a couple of clips of him on YouTube singing this, and I highly recommend it. David's a wonderful entertainer, and this song is great for him. I'm going to try and do the best I can with it. And it's an original by another friend of mine, Mr. David Hungate. And David was a part of a group of musicians um, in Los Angeles back in the 1970s that loosely referred to themselves as the 2001 Polka Band. And they love to play all kinds of old standards and New Orleans tunes, and were super talented studio players. And shortly after David left LA in 1980, he joined a band called, oh God, what's it? Toto. And made a lot of hit records. He made bank with that. But David was always a 1920s musician. And he wrote this upcoming tune, and he wrote one that I've done quite a bit called Chicken Dinner, which is a lovely tune, and another lovely song called Louisiana Moon. And then with his wife April, co-wrote a lot of great songs as well. So anyway, this one is about a town in Southern California, Jonathan, that I am pretty sure that you've heard of before. It's a little town nestled on the coast of California, up above Los Angeles, and it's a humble village. And everybody has a little town like this in whatever area they live in. And this is a beautiful romantic ballad. It goes like this. April in Paris has somehow lost its charm. I've grown tired of Vichy Soir and boat rides on the Marne. They say that autumn in New York and Memphis in June, they're lovely, but they cannot compare to where I'm going soon to croon an autumn tune. October in Oxnard, it's lovely when that port winey moon goes shining down on you and me in lovely Oxnard. October in Oxnard, remembering your jack-o'-lantern smile makes me so glad you're waiting there. Ooh, that night at Point Magoo, we whispered words of love so sweet, and as we kissed, I felt the grunion spawning beneath my feet. October in Oxnard, the seagulls in the sky were dropping little bits of joy on you and me. And on our lovely little Oxnard by the sea. Everybody. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, October in Oxnard, the seagulls in the sky were dropping little bits of joy on you and me. And on our lovely little Oxnard by the sea.
Woo! So great.
Wonderful.
That wasn't easy. Okay, I'm going to switch over to the piano now. And I believe we have a song that we have a copy of we can put up on the screen, a song, a sheet music of it, excuse me. And so I'm going to go to this camera over here. Are we back on this one? Mm-hmm. Wow, it's amazing. What production. I'm going to remove this critter. And this tune is a song that was written by Hoagie Carmichael and the lyrics by Johnny Mercer, one of his earlier songs. And it's all about the season, around Thanksgiving time. It's almost like a Thanksgiving song, just without saying the word Thanksgiving. But I love the atmosphere on this one. It does paint a kind of a picture of life in a not too distant time when everybody got together at the holiday. And it goes like this. When the wind begins to blowin' and a whistling in the lock, winter's rollin' in. There's a butter churn a-goin' and a turkey on the block, down where the hills begin. At the first nasty weather, folks all get together down to Uncle Bill's, down among the hills. There'll be all kinds of cousins arriving by the dozens down to Uncle Bill's, down among the hills. Table setting, you can bet that everyone'll get lots of turkey, 40 pound. Then we'll talk and smoke and laugh and joke until we choke when the cider comes round. All the kids will be yelping for a second helping down to Uncle Bill's, down among the hills. Well, it looks like snowing. Soon we'll all be going down to Uncle Bill's once more.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Thank you. That's a great song.
It is a good song.
And at this point, I would like to go forward here. Let's see, where's my little script? And I'd like to introduce everybody to Yoshi and Etsuko. And they are hi guys, good to see you.
Hi. Hey, Casey. Good to see you.
They are coming to us from their lovely new home. It's an old house, but a new home in Seattle, Washington. And I saw a very impressive video that Yoshi made of a bunch of work that was going on in the house. And they've been doing a lot of projects there. And right now we're going to feature them on a song from a an orchestra record that I made a few years back. I don't know if you can see it there. Let's see if I can put it up. It's called the Roycroft Session, and this is an original tune called Swing Nation, and it was written for a podcast in San Francisco a few years back. My friend Dan Smith called me up and asked me if I could stand it. You just have to truck them down, hit the stroke, put some jelly on that road. Swing Nation, people grooving together. Okay, here we go. Hit that jive, close the door, get the carpet off the floor. Swing Nation, people grooving together. Lindy Fowl, Charleston too, rhythm is our golden rule. Swing Nation, people grooving together. All around the planet, gates are in the room. I don't have to understand it, you just have to truck them down, hit the stroke, put some jelly on that road. Swing Nation, people grooving together. All around the planet, gates are in the booth. I don't have to understand it, you just have to move. Truck on down, take a stroll, put some jelly on that road. Swing Nation, people grooving together. Swing Nation, people grooving together.
Awesome.
That was great, you guys.
Thank you.
You're so rusty. That was awesome.
Was that Kai?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you get a look at Kai?
Oh my gosh.
All right. That's
Oh,
great.
look at that.
All right. We're going to need to get him into the choreography.
We'll be soon.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
thank you.
curious, Yoshi, how did you get interested in Balboa music? Where did you find out about it?
Oh man, I don't remember exactly, like so many years ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah, probably.
Somebody's having a good time.
I think, we were, back in the time in Seattle, the bubble is so small. Probably only 5 people dancing bubble. And then I went to one of the bubble event in California, Southern California at the time. It's called Bubble Rendezvous.
Yeah.
And then it was great music. I think that's why I took up bubble music.
Yeah.
And extreme music in general.
Is Balboa your favorite dancer? You dance the Lindy Hop as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like swing dance all the time. I mean everything, but I particularly Tsuko and I love Babor
Yeah.
more than anything.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So cute.
He's a good boy. We love
Yeah.
that guy. Yeah. Well, we want to actually, we would like to get you to do another dance a little later on. Would that be okay?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be on.
Fantastic. Because you had mentioned that song, I've Got My Fingers Crossed, and I think I'd like to try to play it for you live on the ukulele
Oh,
a bit later.
that'll be fantastic. Yeah.
And hopefully we can make that happen. But right now, I think everybody that's over 21 at least is ready for a little libation. And it's time to call on our celebrity bartender, Mr. Jonathan Stout.
All right, hello again.
And look at, he's all set up and ready to go.
Yeah.
You know,
You might make a little sleeping potion for Kai.
I'd like to say that this isn't my first time bartending on Zoom, but it's definitely not my first time bartending on Zoom. So I'm excited to do it. And I had a little bit of a thing. I was trying to figure out what cocktail to make for everybody, because I've made my favorite cocktails, or my official favorite cocktail, several times on a couple different casts. And but this is what I'm drinking right now, especially in the last couple of weeks, where here in Southern California the murder winds have died down, at least for the time being, and it started to get chilly. This is just such a great cocktail that just screams fall without being like spiced cider overtly. Because I think if you just went with like an apple spiced or a pumpkin spiced thing, it's kind of obvious. But this is like a beautifully nuanced cocktail, but that just has these really nice flavors of fall, and it's got some great ingredients that can be a little hard to find, but are really worth searching out. So the first one is this. This is Laird's Bottled and Bond Straight Apple Brandy. This is apple brandy made in New Jersey, as it's been for over 100 years. Founded 1780, so excuse me, 200 years. And they're still, the Laird's family and company is still doing it. You want to search out this particular bottling, the Bottled and Bond Straight Apple Brandy, because this is 100 proof, and it's all apple brandy. Everything in this bottle is apple brandy, or the water they use to dilute the apple brandy down to 100 proof. And Bottled and Bond refers to just the way they do the taxes on it, but it just means it's 100 proof, and it's at least 4 years old. It's not expensive, it's just a little bit annoying to find. They have other products that they put out under the Laird's name that say Apple Jack, and unless it says straight apple brandy, you want to avoid it, because Apple Jack is basically apple brandy that they water down with vodka. So it's still like 86 proof or whatever, but the amount of alcohol in it isn't entirely from the apples, and so you lose that really beautiful apple flavor. And you don't want to use something like Calvados for this, because Calvados is like nicely aged and round and beautiful and already tempered with age. This is like just barely aged enough to like not be real feisty. So this has got some punch to it. It's not elegant in the way that like a Calvados would be. And then the other thing is this, which is called Cardamaro. And you might think that Cardamaro might be cardamom, but it's not. It's cardoon, which is a thistle, kind of like an artichoke. And this is imported into America by my friend Eric Seed at a company called House Au Pens. And they are one of the places that has really made a huge impact in the kind of blooming, cocktail renaissance. So things like Dolin Vermouth, Smith and Cross rum, and many other standard bearers of the kind of cocktail renaissance. Heyman's Old Tom Gin, ingredients that the St. Elizabeth Allspice Dram, the Rothman and Winter, creme de violette. These are all like obscure ingredients that had gone out of production here in America and were called for in classic old cocktails, and you just couldn't get them. And so Eric, being a cocktail geek and just a really cool guy, started finding them. But he's also found a bunch of other great things. And this Cardamaro is so delicious. It's like a sweet vermouth, but it's a little more herbal and a little bit lighter. Because if you can see the color, it's a little more kind of caramel brown than a dark, dark winey vermouth. And I came across this recipe on the House Au Pain's website, which I don't usually find really amazing cocktails on a manufacturer's website because their motivation is to get you to use a lot of their product as opposed to make a great cocktail. And there are some ingredients where like the ideal use of the cocktail, the ingredient is like a quarter ounce or a half ounce, and they're like, here's 5 ounces in the drink so you can. It's like, no. But I haven't really seen it anywhere else, and thankfully it started getting kind of rewritten in some other places on the internet. But this is called the Harvest Cocktail, and it's a very, very simple drink. It's just a Manhattan-style drink with like a whiskey, brown liquor kind of thing, and a vermouthy kind of winey thing combined. And in this particular version, we're going to do 50-50, so which is nice because the 100 proof stands up, even though you're not doing the usual 2-to-1, like 2 parts spirit to 1 part winey thing. So it's a little mellower, but it really works. So I'm going to do 1.5 ounces. And if you like these jiggers, these are my favorite jiggers. They're made by a company called Cocktail Kingdom, and I believe they were designed by my good friend Don Lee. He is one of their consultants and helped work on a lot of their products. So we're doing 1.5 ounces Cardamaro, 1.5 ounces of the Laird's Straight Apple Brandy, bottled in bond. All right.
That looks good.
And the next thing we're going to use are bitters. And we're going to use, I'm actually going to skip the Angostura bitters this time around. This is perfect for this. It's great for this. But I'm going to gild the lily a little bit. My friend, I have this friend that makes this company, Miracle Mild Bitters, Louis Anderman. And these are absolutely amazing bitters. All of his bitters are really beautiful. One of the things that happened in this cocktail renaissance is everybody and their mom started making bitters, and not all of them are amazing. You know,
I found that.
These are all to every single one. These are fantastic, and they're made here in Los Angeles. Hence Miracle Mile. And this particular one is an aromatic style bitter like a Angostura. But one of the old ingredients that you'll find in old recipes for bitters is called tonka bean. And tonka bean is something that, because it contains a chemical which is used in blood thinners, is not deemed food safe. So you don't want to like have bitters that like mess up your heart. Now the reality is that the amount in the recipe and what it would end up would never actually hurt you unless you were like mainlining this stuff. But for that reason, you can't really license things that have tonka bean. And what he did is he surreptitiously made a batch, saw how they tasted, and then backward engineered a way to make them taste like tonka bean without actually using tonka bean and that banned substance. So these are Miracle Mild.
Now.
Well, yes, this cocktail will not kill me right away.
I was hoping I could go to a bar and ask for a cocktail with a blood thinner.
I mean, I don't know where you frequent, but, you know, some places might give you other things that you weren't, you know. But so we're going to do 2 nice big dashes of that. And then because there's no fruit juice or dairy or anything kind of viscous in this, we're going to stir it. And so I'm going to add some ice. You always want to use a lot of ice because the problem comes that you want the drink to get cold, and to get cold there will be melting of water, and that's okay. And a lot of people are kind of, there's a myth that like, oh, you want to use really big ice because it'll melt less. And the fact of the matter is it's going to melt no matter what, because as the temperature comes down, equilibrium will be reached and water will melt. But the reason you want to use a lot of ice is that it will get to that equilibrium faster and without kind of going past the point that it uses up this ice, because then that equilibrium point is going to be much higher in temperature, and then you have a lot of water in here that you didn't want, as opposed to the exact right amount of water that you did. So we've stirred that nicely. We're going to use our julep strainer, pour that out. I did pre-chill this glass. It's been sitting for just a few seconds, so it's not as perfectly chilled as I would have liked. But I always recommend, if you can do it, stick a couple glasses in your freezer before you make the cocktails, and then your glass will keep it at that ideal temperature. And so here we have, with no garnish after this. This is it. We're good. This is the Harvest cocktail. Cheers.
Cheers. That looks fantastic.
It's amazing because the apple brandy is really, they call it Jersey Lightning sometimes, especially the whiter versions of it. And the apple brandy has a real harsh punch, even as dark as this one is. It's still got a kick to it. And what's nice about the Cardamaro is it really rounds it off perfectly, so all those apple notes really pop through without being overwhelmed by the punchiness and the kind of harshness of it. And then the herbal stuff, and then you get the pie and Christmas spices from the bitters, and it's just fall.
Yeah, I imagine you're going for a balance there with the apple brandy and the bitters, and the vermouth. It's kind of like they all need to balance each other out.
Yeah, I mean, cocktails are always like a chord. You need to have all the notes there, and you can do things with 2 notes or 1 note, but it doesn't sound like a chord, and that's why in Western music 3 notes is kind of that minimum, and then you have those 3 things that all give context to one another, and then you have, that's that.
Yeah, I guess you could make an analogy in saying like something like a Boilermaker. That would be hard rock because there's only like whiskey and a beer. But then when you get up to a cocktail that has 4 different distinct notes, then you're into the swing era because
it's got those major 6. There are definitely some cocktails that have a lot of notes that get into free jazz territory.
Wow.
Like Ornette Coleman and 2 completely different quartets playing music at the same time, but not the same music. You can have cocktails that taste like that.
Music like Charles Ives or something.
Well, the crazy thing is, I will say the most basic level of cocktails is to like just make a chord that makes sense. And you're like, okay, cool. But there is a second level above that, which isn't just making a complex thing that somehow still balances. Because that's definitely challenging, but that's still kind of level 1. That's the hardest part of level 1, is to take a bunch of stuff that's really intense and somehow make it work. The crazy thing is, there are some things that you can put together that it's almost like alchemy, where they become something else. There's a great cocktail called the Jasmine by a guy named Paul Harrington, and it's like a early 90s invention, so it's not that old, but it's gin, lemon juice, orange liqueur, and Campari. And Campari, for those that don't know, is like a bitter red. It's like if you took the skin of a grapefruit, took all the acidic citrus note and all of the sweetness, and it's just kind of that bitter redness. That's what Campari is. I mean, it's got some sweetness to it, but that's the note I think of. But amazingly, you put the red, and then the lemon, and the orange, and then the linchpin that brings it all together is the herbs and spices in the gin, because if you do the same drink with vodka, it doesn't come together, but it all works, and then it comes together, and you're like, oh, that tastes like grapefruit, but there's no grapefruit in it.
Right.
You've managed to recreate a grapefruit from constituent elements of flavor, and it just blows my mind. And there's a guy here in Huntington Beach. I guess it's Seal Beach, so he's not even in LA anymore. That's over the county line. But a guy named Jason Schiffer, who's a friend of mine, and he's got several drinks that they just taste like more than the sum of their parts, and you're like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And so, but this is like that first level, and it's a great one because it has that Manhattan formula, Manhattan kind of thing, but you just get all these fall notes, and it's great.
Well, thanks, Jonathan. That's fantastic. I would like to move on, and unfortunately, I had originally planned on getting an accompaniment for you there from our friend Larry, who is a great piano player and plays a lot of cocktail piano. But I got so distracted by all of the details of your concoction that I neglected to cue Larry to give us a little backdrop. However, hi Larry, are you having a libation yourself right now?
What?
Excellent.
It's gone.
Something simple and direct, something that goes right to the point. But Larry brought along this great film clip that I would love to share with you, and he was in Japan many years ago. This was in the mid or late '80s, Larry. Can we get Larry on?
Oops.
Whoops, I was muted.
Okay.
I think it was 1996.
Oh, that was in the '90s. Okay.
Yeah,
And was that in Tokyo where you were on the television?
in Tokyo at the TBS TV station.
Uh-huh. And it was kind of a dating show, right?
It was the dating game, kind of what we would call the dating game, but it was called an omiai bangumi, where omiai is arranged marriages.
Ah.
So yeah, and I had a lady who was involved with the show on my flight, and when she heard me speak Japanese, she asked, "Have you ever thought about being on Japanese TV?" And I said, "Well,
Yeah,
maybe."
well,
And she told me about it, and that like 10 guys and 10 girls, and then we, we have all these little games that we play. Like they give you 30 seconds to just rush to the one that you want to talk to and take as many notes as you can, and you go through all these levels until you're coupled up at the end.
could we watch a few minutes of this?
Sure.
And you can kind of explain it to us.
I think I sent it to
男性3番のラリー・ナップさんでございます。
ラリーはどこワシントン州バンクーバー。
そうです。
結婚したら向こうに住まないといけませんか？
いや、そんなことありませんよ。日本でもアメリカでもどちらでも平気ですよ。
どちらでも平気。
どっちかというと日本のね、ちょっと住んでみたいなと思いますけども。
住んだことないんですか？すごく日本語お上手ですけど。
まだありません。
暮らしたことはなくそれだけこう日本語がスムーズに出てくるんだから。
いや、とんでもございません。
いやいや参りましたでございますよ。
こちらがナップさんのご一家。ママに抱かれているのがまだ0歳のラリーさん。4人兄弟の四男として生まれました。3歳の時、妹のカーリンちゃんも生まれ5人兄弟に。本当にあったかい家庭に育ちました。現在ラリーさんの実家はアメリカの北部モンタナ州にあります。元高校教師のお父さん、そしてお母さんはこちらで犬や猫とのんびりと余生を送っていらっしゃるようです。
What we were looking at? There were some home movies there, right?
Yeah, what they would normally do is they would go to your home or your work to the TV cameraman would, but since I was in the States, they said just send us some videos of your life or anything about you. So I sent that.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. Well, and you work for Delta Airlines, so you travel to Japan regularly, correct?
Yeah. Just about 3 or 4 times a month.
Wow. Yeah, and you've been doing that all through the year, right?
I took 4 months off when the COVID thing started in April. I took about 4 months. And laid around and gained some weight.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to get you to do some performing on our next show, and
okay.
We're going to be having a holiday spectacular, and we want to get all of our friends that we've had on these past shows, like yourself, to come on and do some performing. So hopefully those of you watching the show tonight will be able to join us next month at the beginning of December, and we'll get to hear Larry play some piano and sing for us, because he does both of those very, very well, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Larry has hosted a Monday night at a club in Seattle, and it was kind of an open mic thing, and he was a fantastic host, and he got lots and lots of singers in, and had a really great backup band with a couple of great jazz players, and it was always a lot of fun going up there and sitting in, and so we'll be able to get Larry to join us for another one where we can get him to perform. At this point, we would like to get Jonathan to do one more song for us, and before we move on, and then I'm going to be doing a song for Yoshi and Etsuko to dance to as well. Jonathan?
Before I play that song, I did want to. I forgot to tell you how much I loved your versions of Autumn Leaves and October and Oxnard, because I'm definitely familiar with the Nard, as they say, under that Port Hueneme moon. I think I got a tape of the Palm Springs Yacht Club doing that song, but that was a really great version. And your Autumn Leaves, having your rhythm uke underneath of that, just made it swing. So thank you. So good. All right, enough pandering to the host. Let's play a tune for everybody else. How about a little bit of Tea for Two?
I love to race Tea for Two right now. Nice.
Wow.
Thank you for practicing, Jonathan. That's sounding fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. Cheers.
You know, before we go any further, I would like to. I just got reminded that I had neglected to do our quiz show, and we like to call that Tacoma Squares. If we can get everybody on the screen, we can affect the squares look. And I've got some questions to ask, and then I guess I'm going to work with you on this, Maddie. Right? And you're gonna tell me who has won.
Sure.
Okay. Anyway, but I'm gonna ask these questions, and there'll be some musical questions, and then there'll be a couple of questions about my musical history. And you don't have to know anything about my musical history because it's multiple choice. It's just you take a guess. And however, there may be some people that out there that'll know the answer to this first one, especially if you're a nerdy swing historian.
The English lyrics to what?
Maddie, we need hold on. We're broadcasting.
Oh, we've got a little coordination thing with, can you put up the famous singer one? What famous singer was born in Tacoma?
I can try and find that on this. It's a little hard to see on this. Let's see.
It?
There you go. Famous dancer or famous singer?
Famous singer.
There you go.
Okay, there it is. Oops.
Okay.
There you go. It's hard to tell which
Tacoma.
one I'm pulling up on Restream.
Okay.
So
The question is, what famous singer was born in Tacoma? And A, Mildred Bailey, B, Johnny Mathis, C, Bing Crosby, or D, Rosemary Clooney? What famous singer was born in Tacoma?
Oh, we have a winner.
Bing Crosby.
Dusty Kelly.
Yeah, the answer is letter C, Bing Crosby.
Nice.
Was born in Tacoma, about 15-minute walk from where we live. And it's a nice old house. And I guess Bing's dad actually built the house. And Bing was born here in 1903. And there's a little plaque on the steps going up to the house that says it's his birthplace.
Okay, Dusty, tell us what you want: a T-shirt, a CD, or a refrigerator magnet.
Yeah, you want to grab me? We've got about 4 different kinds of T-shirts, and we've got this orchestra CD, and then we also have the Am I Blue CD.
Nice.
So,
I was DJing a DJ thing earlier today, and I played Am I Blue off that Am I Blue CD.
Ah, cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, that one turned out pretty well. I like that tune. We got a good riff on that. And then this is actually, you can't really see it. This is a refrigerator magnet, and it's got a photograph of
Mood Indigo.
That's a little close.
Oh, I got an image of it up.
Mood Indigo.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to see.
I have one of those.
But it's a cute picture of myself and my 2 colleagues, David Jackson and John Reynolds, in our sailor outfits. And we were playing a private party on a yacht called the Lovely Lady in Long Beach, California in 1980. And there was some, I think it was REO Speedwagon, some big rock band, and they hated us, but we got paid.
So, Mandy, put up the next question.
Well, you tell her what question I want, okay?
Well, it's a little hard to find out which one it is.
Okay.
The next one is
I'll find it.
what?
Dusty wants Am I Blue, by the way, in case you guys didn't see that.
Okay. If you would keep
Good
track
choice,
of that.
Dusty.
I wanted to do the one about the song. Oh, what country? This is the one. What country was the song
that's
Autumn
not it.
Leaves from? Do you have that one?
Let's find there it is. Found it.
Yay.
Okay. And so what country was the song Autumn Leaves from? A, Spain, B, France, C, Italy, or D, Sweden? What is the answer to that? Spain, France, Italy, or Sweden?
France. France.
What's our answer?
France.
France? What's that,
Who's
John?
saying that?
Yeah.
Larry's saying that.
Larry.
Yeah.
Is that the right answer?
Yes, it is.
I
Wait,
didn't
no.
realize. I
So
didn't realize
the
the
original
panelists were
lyrics
supposed
for
to do it.
that were in French, and our next question would be, who wrote the English lyrics for that song?
Ooh.
And the A, Paul Francis Webster.
There we
B,
go.
Mickey Bitso. C, Johnny Mercer. Or Sweden. Wait a minute. Let's just leave it at 3 because I know Sweden didn't write the words. Okay, so I don't know. We got something mixed up there. So so who wrote the words? Paul Francis Webster, Mickey, or Johnny Mercer? Do we have a winner? Well, if anybody said C, they'd be correct.
Johnny Mercer, right?
Johnny Mercer. And Johnny was one of those guys that got called in to write lyrics for music that was already in existence. And he wrote lots and lots of great lyrics. Jeepers Creepers. He wrote one for My Baby and one for the road. He wrote Skylark. So many great songs. Anyway, and then we get into the more personal stuff here. This next one is about various dancers. For some reason or other, I was very fortunate to meet a lot of the great dancers from the 1920s and 30s when I was playing in Los Angeles 40 years ago. And this question is, which world famous dancer did I not meet? Did I not meet? A, Gene Kelly, B, John Bubbles, C, Fred Astaire, or D, Harold Nicholas? Which one of those did I not meet?
I'm going to venture a guess.
Okay.
Because Fayard Nicholas was around a lot longer than his brother was. So my guess is that somehow Harold had died before you got a chance to meet him, but you did meet Fayard.
Do you know how old Casey is?
Actually, I was born in 1903, so it was very easy for me to meet all these people. But actually, I have not met Fayard, but I did meet Harold. And Harold was brought to the swing show on Broadway by our friend Peter Minton. And I actually comped his ticket so he could come see us. And I've got a photograph of us talking together. I got his autograph. So any other guesses there?
Bubbles. I'd say Bubbles.
Yeah, Bubbles.
Bubbles.
No, I met John Bubbles too.
What?
And Bubbles was, at the time I met him, he was in a wheelchair. And we went over to his apartment and hung out with him for about an hour or so. And he sang Summertime for us.
Oh.
And in addition to being in a lot of great movies, like what was it? A Song Is Born, and was it Cabin in the Sky? Or he was in a lot of great movies, and fantastic dancer, Buck and Bubbles. So I did get to meet him. No, the answer is A. Gene Kelly. I never met Gene Kelly. And I did meet Fred Astaire. And I was playing a private party at Burt Reynolds' house, and Fred Astaire was a guest. And he actually started dancing to our music while we were playing. That was pretty exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Gene Kelly was the one I did not meet.
Wow.
And our last question for today, We still have lots of T-shirts to give away. Hopefully, somebody will get the right answer. What was the name of my first swing band? A. Radio Flyer. B. And by the way, these are all names of bands I've been in. A. Radio Flyer. B. Mood Indigo. C. Pep Boys. And D. The DeSotos.
All right, I'm gonna guess A.
Okay.
I'm guessing Radio Flyer.
Yeah, I go with the Radio Flyer too. I think that's a good one.
Jonathan guessed Radio Flyer.
No.
Oh, Pep Boys. Pep Boys.
Yes.
Who said that?
Vicky.
Vicky?
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Winner.
That's right. That was back in 1971. And we used to play at the Ice House in Pasadena. And we got reviewed by the newspaper from Caltech. And
wow.
They said we were a cross between Lawrence Welk and the Incredible String Band.
But in a good way?
The violinist in that band that wore a toupee. It was the only time I've ever worked with somebody that wore a toupee. But actually, I'm going to be wearing one here in the near future myself. Anyway, well, that concludes our quiz show. Thank you for taking the quiz. And at this point, I would like to bring back Yoshi and Etsuko, and I'm going to accompany them and play a song that they happen to like called "I've Got My Fingers Crossed."
All right.
Pardon me while I put on the ukulele. I'm going to face the other camera. Here we go. Bop doo 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 bop doo doo day, bop doo 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 bop doo doo day, bop doo 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 bop doo doo day, doo da doo da doo da doo da. I've got my fingers crossed. Not that I'm superstitious, I'm afraid it's too good to be true. I've got my fingers crossed. No wonder I'm superstitious. I'm okay and the skies are my true. I got my fingers crossed, and I'm superstitious. I'm afraid it's too good to be true. I don't want no trouble, not from old man trouble, and that goes double on the counter, cause I got my fingers crossed, and not that I'm superstitious, I'm afraid it's too good to be, he's afraid it's too good to be, I'm afraid it's too good to be, he's afraid it's too good to be, I'm afraid it's too good to do now. All right.
Wow.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you. Well, it's been a lot of fun getting to make music this evening and getting to enjoy the company of all of our fantastic guests. And thanks again, Jonathan, for joining us from Pasadena, from your lovely home, and sharing your musical and bartending skills with us.
Well, you come visit when all this is over.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to actually enjoy the fruits of your mixologist labors. Once again, from Capitol Hill, helping steer the show, our good friend Madeline Yan. Thanks, Maddie. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Here she is. And from halfway up Oregon, how about it for Vicki Johnson? Vicki, thank you for you, as always. And so, and she's answering the question. Yes, there is life between Bend, Oregon, and Boise, Idaho. She's the one. And in West Seattle, holed up in his basement with his beautiful piano, Mr. Larry Knapp. Good to see you. We're looking forward to getting to enjoy your music on our next show. And from the island up there in BC, one more time, let's hear it for Jen Hodge. You're a great video, and we'd like to get you to come join us again as well. And,
can't wait. I'm ready. I will zip across that line as soon as it opens.
Yeah, really.
Excellent. And how about it one more time, Ricky and Suko, and of course Kai.
You're awesome.
And last but certainly not least, my executive producer and our director of the show, Jessica. You can't see her, but she is here. So we're gonna. What's that? Oh yeah, I was about to. So just want to mention next month we'll be on the first Tuesday of December, and it's going to be a holiday special. So we want to get as many of our good friends, extended family, to join us as we can, and lots of music and good times. And I have a holiday song that I've already written, so we'll be bringing that out and doing that together. And so hope you can all make it for that. And we have a film clip right now that we want to end things with, and it's a song called Scotch and Soda, a proper ending for our cocktail hour. And this was filmed by Jessica at the bar in Seattle called Vito's. And I'm joined by Devon Lewis on drums and my good pal, Mr. Hans Teuber on tenor sax. And actually, a friend of ours, Devon Delvon Lamar, is the organ, but you can't hardly hear him on this particular track, but he's there. So this is Scotch and Soda. Thanks everybody once again for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you all soon.
Here we go. Scotch and soda, jigger gin. Look at the spell you got me in. Oh my. Do I feel high? Dry martini, but in your eyes. Baby, do I feel high? Oh me, oh my. How about a baker's soda?
Every time I come, I feel like I'm
Do I feel high?
trying my best.
People don't believe me. They think that I'm just bragging. that I should feel the way that I do. Still beyond the wagon, all I need is one of your smiles, sunshine from your eye. Oh me, oh my, do I feel higher than a kite can fly? Give me loving, baby, people don't believe me. Yeah, they think that I'm just bragging. Well, I could feel the way that I do and still be on the wagon. All I need is one of your smiles, sunshine from your eye. Oh me, oh my, do I feel higher than a kite can fly? Give me loving, baby, I feel high. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is music to drink by. Yeah. If you're not drinking something now, you better order up.